Hello my YouTube fam, welcome back to the channel. My name is Felicia and we are at the Sofitel Melbourne on Collins. I've just got my hands on the Samsung S9 Plus and I've just downloaded Filmic Pro. I'm going to go give it a go on the streets of Melbourne and see how it fares in low light conditions. Let's go. Well, the video didn't turn out how I expected, and I didn't really want to put anything together that I wasn't happy with, so I figured I would take this opportunity to give you a little bit of a first impressions rundown of Filmic Pro. As I said earlier, last week I got my hands on the Samsung S9 Plus, and I was really excited to be able to upgrade my phone because every time I've got a new phone, I haven't been 100% happy with the camera, and I've heard that the camera on the S9 Plus is quite substantially better than the other cameras that I've had in the past. Now, I'm not one to advocate shooting anything on a phone unless it's something personal or anything like a YouTube video or something like that. Yeah, that's cool. But I was really excited to be able to have a look at the capabilities of the camera on the S9 Plus, as well as be able to have a look a little bit further into using the app called Filmic Pro, which allows you to get a more filmmaker-friendly experience on your cell phone. And as a first impression, Now, these are first impressions, and I'm sure my experience would have been a lot different if I had had the app for like a week beforehand and had to play around with it before going out and doing this sort of project. But still, I wanted to show you how it does take a little bit more setup than just getting an app in order to get an image out that you're happy with. And I'm also probably super late to the party because the app's been out for a while. So Filmic Pro on the Google Play Store in Australia cost $18.99 Australian. And then to get the full range of possibilities in terms of gamma curves, you will have to purchase the cinematographer's set, which is $12.99, I believe, extra, which is a purchase inside the app. This gives you access to a various range of gamma curves, including log, which is perfect for trying to maintain as much information out of an image as possible. So yeah, it's a budget-friendly option for your pocket when you stack it up against a mirrorless or a DSLR. But then again, it also comes down to the right tool for the job. A phone is not necessarily the right tool to use for a larger scale production. And when I say larger scale production, I mean anything more than a YouTube video. So music videos, TV commercials, short films, feature films. And before you say anything, I know people have done this before. I know people have shot short films and feature films and larger scale productions on a phone. That's not beyond me, that's not lost on me. But those people have also invested extra money in making sure it looks good while they're shooting and in post. And they've also limited themselves as to what they can achieve and the do's and don'ts while they are shooting. And once you do put those restrictions in place and also invest a little bit more money in other items that could help you gain that cinematic effect, that money spent could have been spent getting a bigger, better camera. First of all, I want to talk about the layout of the app. Now, it's not too bad, all things considered. My one gripe though was there were sections in there that allow you to change the compression of your image. I'd like to know what that compression rate is and what exactly it is throwing away in my image. And you know what, that might come with just actually taking the camera out and doing a couple of tests. But really there was a lack of explanation overall in the menu and in the settings. The functionality of the app is where it kind of falls down for me. First of all, I want to talk about the presets. And I know that my other cameras can do that, and that really is handy. If you're going onto a shoot, you can just go, great, I know that I need this particular setup on my camera, I'll just load that preset and I'm done. Instead of trawling through the settings and finding all those little bits of important information to change, it's already done for you. And yes, that is incredibly handy, and I love that this app has that functionality. The problem that I do have though is that it didn't seem to save all of my settings for a preset. For instance, sometimes I had to go back and add in the log curve, otherwise it would just forget it. And if you're quickly trying to film something, that can be really frustrating because it can be something that you will miss. That could be a bug fix though. I think maybe there might be a bug in the system for that one. Another thing that I found when setting up is that if you close the app and reopen it again, it resets back to default. So if you're trying to do something very spontaneously and you want to just quickly whip out the camera, open up the app and shoot something, you can't, not unless you want it to be set to the default. And unfortunately, if you're in Australia, the default it's set to is NTSC based settings. So it's not the greatest. The ISO and shutter angle wheels, they were a really frustrating part of the process. So from what I could tell from tutorials, what you would do is you would change the ISO and lock that off, and then it would roll over and unlock the shutter angle, and then you could adjust the shutter angle accordingly and lock that off as well. It would be really good if it worked 100% of the time, but it didn't. And I don't know why they just don't have two separate options for that. Instead of one scrolly wheel where you lock it off, like, why don't you just have two different things in your menu set up so you can go, okay, I want my shutter angle to be that, and I want my ISO to be that, and it will stay that way, instead of changing. This could also be a bug fix, and it might already be on its way to being fixed, so here's hoping. So is it worth it? In my opinion, I can tell you right now I'm not jumping out of my seat to keep using it, but I will keep using it just to see if those bugs that I mentioned earlier, if they are bugs, actually get fixed and maybe it becomes a little bit more user-friendly. It does look like it has the shapings of a good app, but it just needs a couple of things kicked out of the system just to really iron everything flat and make it a good user experience. If you are thinking about downloading the app, I would recommend doing it if you are using it for your YouTube videos, or maybe if you are deciding to do something a little bit larger scale with your phone, but just be wary that you will need extra bits and pieces to make it look as cinematic as possible, or as cinematic as you can for a phone, because every camera is different. You're not gonna get the same image out of a phone as you are out of an Alexa or even a DSLR or a mirrorless. Like they're all gonna spew out a different image. So don't think that you're instantly gonna get the most amazing cinematic results. You've got to put in a little bit more effort. Get a gimbal, maybe learn how to stabilize, learn a little bit of post as well, because that will definitely help you, and just learn how to get the best image as possible out of your phone. And this app will definitely help you with that. But it's just a matter of investing a little bit of time in post and investing a little bit of money in other little bits and pieces of equipment that will help you achieve that goal. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a big fat thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my face and learn a little bit more about filmmaking in the process, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.